What we try to do here is focus on multiple choices, alternate choices, reconnecting by getting off of devices and finding different outlets through activities so that we can reground our students and hopefully our staff and everybody else to think about those choices. Because at the end of the day, your brain needs some balance. And so the excessive screen time automatically starts to rewire your brain for less balance in another area.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media. And we also ask them questions that we get from parents all over the country in our program. Now, let's get back to the interview.
Hi, my name is Kirk Koennecke. I'm the proud CEO and superintendent of Indian Hill Exempted Village School District. We are a northeast suburban Cincinnati school district. We serve 2,400 students and 1,500 unique families.
Superintendent, it's so great to have you here today on our Superintendent Spotlight podcast here with smartsocial.com. For all of our viewers here today, you might be a parent, you might be a superintendent, you might be somewhere in between supporting students on this journey that they have with digital tools. You know that our mission here at smartsocial.com is to take this digital device and keep them safe at a young age so they can be successful in the school buildings and at home, and someday they can shine online. And that means having a dream online, positive portfolio of the things that they're doing in real life. I'm Josh Ochs, your host here today, and I'm excited to have our superintendent here as my guest expert as we interview on some of the hottest topics to help you parents at home, you superintendents, as you are leading teams. We want to give you the visionary insights of the experts nationwide that are doing this. This is probably one of the episodes, we're at 180 or almost 190 episodes, and we're grateful to all of the superintendents who have been on this podcast. Superintendent, I want to welcome you here today, and I want to ask you the first question that I have for you today. Let's hear from you on parent participation. My question is, what are your suggestions for other districts to increase parent engagement? And are there any specific channels or events that get the biggest turnout?
We are so fortunate in Indian Hill to have a number of parent partner groups and a number of local community nonprofit partner groups where we are focusing in on students' mental health and wellness. And so when you can bring those partners together and have a parent group like your PTO or PTA sponsor another partner group, the community who can come in and give a third party perspective and do some education and awareness growth for all parents, it can really provide some great educational opportunities for parents and or students to engage in a different way on really important topics like this. That's where we get the biggest turnout. So when we go to our partner groups, I ask our PTO leader what they're interested in. And if we want to attack this subject, then they partner with one of our other community partners and we bring them in for an educational program. And we tend to get the larger audience that way. And we get parents to be able to get answers to questions that they can use with their children. And of course, we invite our educators in also, and it allows our teachers and our educators to talk.
I love that. I love that. For all of our listeners right now, never undervalue the partnerships in the community, whether it's Italian restaurant who wants to help you with a fundraiser, as the superintendent's saying, or the PTA group, a nonprofit. We all need to work together, right? And I just love that. I love that you're highlighting that and that's successful in your community. The next question I'd like to get your insights on, superintendent, is it's around excessive screen time on student behavior. We're hearing this nationwide. All of our listeners are familiar with whether it's the Anxious Generation book that's so popular right now, or the new Netflix series that's Adolescence, that's just talking about the screen time impact. Superintendent, I'd love your insight on this topic. How are you seeing excessive screen time impact a student's motivation or mental/physical health?
The amount of time that you spend on screens, and quite frankly, adults also, they pose a very simple choice for you as a human being. You can spend that time in that mode with that vehicle using the things you can get from that device to have screen time, whether it be a laptop, an iPad, a computer, watching a show, playing a video game, or you can make a choice to do something else. The amount of clickbait information that somebody can doom scroll throughout the day, no matter how old they are, sometimes delays that effect in your mind that you're trying to get, right? That dopamine rush that you would get if you were doing a physical health or mental health activity for wellness, that your brain forgets because you're training your brain to take a different choice. and a different path. What we try to do here is focus on multiple choices, alternate choices, reconnecting by getting off of devices and finding different outlets through activities so that we can reground our students and hopefully our staff and everybody else to think about those choices. Because at the end of the day, your brain needs some balance. And so the excessive screen time automatically starts to rewire your brain for less balance in another area. And so it's important that children learn this growing up. And it's important then that we teach them self-governance and leadership skills so that they learn to make good critical choices about how to use their brains and their bodies with their time.
Superintendent, I want to double click on that answer. I like where you're going with it. What would you say? Let's speak to all the parents at home that are struggling with this student behavior. What would your top one or two possible replacements, if you want to stop with some screen time, what could they replace that with to give them just a little bit of guidance?
Oftentimes, parents are trying to do their very best by setting up kind of a incentive or reward system for good behavior. And sometimes the incentive becomes the device and screen time. I think that's the wrong way to think about approaches with screen time. I think screen time should not be the incentive. It should be a choice within a menu, but the incentives should be the other things you get to do that are not a part of screen time and the device, like going to a game, going to the theater, getting outside and, jumping around with the bean bags, getting to do the ninja walk or whatever that is, going to the 5K, those things that build activity, health, wellness, community in other ways offline that are disconnected from devices in the online world. Those should be the incentives for good behavior if screen time stays within guardrails that you've established as a routine. And I think what happens is sometimes parents want to use the screen time as an easy incentive because they want to see other behaviors. And maybe we need to think about that a little differently.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's great. I took physical notes. Don't use the device as an incentive for good behavior. I think that's really powerful for everyone here listening. Okay, so good, Superintendent. For all of our parents listening right now, you know that we host incredible online parent engagement events every single week here at Smart Social. As one of the top social media safety speakers, we're now doing it online. I'm not flying to your state as much anymore. Now, parents are often asking us, what advice would you give, Josh, to a student to help them recognize some of the red flags of a dangerous stranger? Well, let's hear from a real student in one of our student internship programs about how she might help a friend recognize red flags. This is from one of our live events we want everybody on the pod to hear.
If I had a friend talking online to a stranger, I think that I would feel a little bit uncomfortable with the whole situation. I would advise against it because so many indirect issues can come from that, and it could cause something to be worse than if they had just unadded them in the first place. Some red flags that I would have to advise them to cut it off with this person or to stop engaging would be if the person starts to get very involved in their personal life and they seem to be very intrigued in what's going on with them and wanting to know all little details about what they do and who they are, and just very personal details and things that you wouldn't normally share with a stranger in real life. If they're very persistent and constantly wanting to talk to my friend or constantly trying to be involved in their life or wanting to speak to them, I feel like that's kind of a red flag. Another thing would be if they ask them to ever meet them anywhere in person right from the start, if they feel, for instance, being uncomfortable or their intuition is just saying it's wrong, or if my intuition is saying something feels wrong with this, then I think that's a major red flag.
All right, parents. So we want to make sure you remember, come out for our weekly live parent events. We do giveaways each week. Right now, as of the time of this video, we're doing Kindles. We encourage reading through Kindles and we give them away to families. We have a weekly live parent events, replays, giveaways, really exciting. It's online. If you miss it, watch that replay in one of 12 different languages. Teen-led video lessons. There's a ton of teens in the program. Some parents are going, I brought my teen and they loved it, or they didn't hate it, which means they loved it. And then there's a premium parent newsletter all year long. It has trends and stuff. Let's see what this looks like in your community, parents. I want you to come out. Your district's probably a partner. If you're watching this, here's what happened a couple weeks ago in the news. You are the one that needs to decide whether it's too much screen time or just right.
But parents and teachers know when it comes to teenagers and social media, that's easier said than done. So in an effort to protect students from the dangers of being chronically online, schools are doing something you might not expect. asking parents to get online too.
It makes an awareness to parents and students. It also gives them an understanding of some of the warning signs.
That's just one reason why Deron Wilson, an executive director of school engagement, says his district uses the app Smart Social. It's an online app designed to educate parents and students on how to avoid strangers and dangerous situations online.
Kind of like, I want to say, a trap. When you get involved in the cyberbullying, you might start friending somebody on an app, or somebody might say, hey, they might send me your picture.
Smart Social founder Josh Ochs says while there are a lot of things that can and should scare us online, the increased number of parents he is able to reach underscores the importance of growing social gathering spaces online.
Back in the day, I used to be one of the top social media safety speakers nationwide, but I was flying around to certain school districts, and they're the best of intentions, but only 20 or 30 parents would show up. We get 10 times the amount of parents to show up, and they want to learn from the convenience of their home or office how to keep their kids safe on social media. They want to ask live questions. They want to learn how to have dialogue starters with your kids that actually get their kids excited about talking with their parents and strengthening that relationship.
Darcy Wertique, Spectrum News.
Okay, so all of our parents, we're excited to have you join one of our next events. They're not just on anti-bullying. They're on every big parent topic. As we learn from the incredible superintendents and principals and everybody in between, we want to make sure you have everything you need. Gone are the days if you're flying Josh Ochs out there and you miss the event that evening and you go, oh no, I'll let my daughter be on TikTok for another year and I'll wait for another expert. That would be a travesty in my opinion. So we've got stuff all year long for you. Okay, we're back to our guest expert, Superintendent. Let's talk about behaviors contributing to chronic absenteeism. Some districts say excessive screen time leads to increased anxiety, depression, and cyberbullying, which contributes to a decline in school performance. Now, your district might not have an absenteeism problem, and that's incredible, but we're hearing that every district, the screen time has something to do with it. And so are you seeing this or other related online behaviors impacting student academic success or attendance?
Yeah, at Indian Hill, we're really doubling down on the idea of leadership skills and development K through 12 and the idea of self-governance. And so ethics and morals are so important in a world where social media influencers are trying to get people to stay online, click for the next picture or meme, and pay attention to something that maybe is just a distraction to the more important priorities students should have when they're trying to balance out an already busy schedule and day and navigate dealing with social relationships with their parents, friends, and family. So what we do is we really try to focus on the mental health and wellness aspects here with our partners, 1 in 5, Mind Peace in the Cincinnati area, who do an amazing job of supplementing information, coming in and educating students about cyberbullying signals, about what to watch for with their own emotional reactions from the time they do spend on screen, both in and out of school. Again, right, most of these students are not with us the entire day. They go home and then we don't know how much screen time they may have. So what our teachers and our partners do is we spend time kind of surveying the students. We spend time asking them about how much screen time they have and how it affected their choices. We do kind of after action reviews, and we get the students to think about self-governance. And really at the secondary level at Indian Hill, where typically in most districts you might see a spike in absenteeism when students are making social choices more in a mature way, we've been able to mitigate a lot of that through dialogue and getting students to pay attention to the signals and to think about when and where screen time matters and when it doesn't, and then how to talk about it to an adult or a close confidant or friend and their parents. And our parents, again, have done a great job through our partner groups of promoting the idea that it's okay to talk about, and it's okay for different parents and children to raise their families differently. But within the school environment, we really want to think about how we balance out our approach. And we do that different buildings and different developmental levels because, right, things are a lot different when it comes to screen time for a 6-year-old than it is for a 17-year-old.
Yeah, so well said. So many good insights there for our audience. Okay, my last question for you, Superintendent, is screen time. It's about the screen time impact on the home environment. And we've alluded to this a little bit. Parents watching right now, there is no shame in what we're talking about. If you already gave your kid a phone or device, Fortnite, it's okay. It's totally fine. But we just want to guide those who want to make sure that we're helping kids be resilient, be well prepared for the future when mom and dad aren't around. So, Superintendent, what do you suggest parents and their children can do to come to an agreement around screen time to decrease arguments?
The first thing is to talk about this openly and ask questions of your child and make sure you gauge how your child feels before you make assumptions about how they're going to behave, and then set up a routine with some guardrails so that they know there are going to be regular intervals of communication where you're going to talk about the issue. And that way, from the get-go, it's not a parent gotcha with the child about their behavior. It's a dialogue that's ongoing in the family about a topic that will affect their entire life, right? The technology is not going away. Devices aren't going away. AI and machine learning aren't going away. They're going to, if anything, you don't want them to feel overwhelming.
Yeah.
So that needs to be the first step. The second thing is when parents see things happening in combination, that's when there's a red flag. So it's when the student wants more screen time to game so that they can then get into a chat group. When the student wants more screen time so that they can spend time on making their own videos to engage and re-interact with a device. When the student wants more time to post something, then do something more productive because that's where they think their friend group lives instead of their priority group is. Those are the things parents really need to watch for and address, because then again, what you're doing is you're destigmatizing the device and maybe the positives of the technology, and you're focusing on the behaviors and the priority choices that are not aligned to what should be happening as they're developing.
Well said. So many good insights. Superintendent, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me. This has been really productive. We just want all of our students to feel good, healthy, well, and successful as they learn to be young leaders and navigate these things in their lives with their families and friends.
Well, you're doing a great job. For all of our audience, whether you're a superintendent or a parent or a guardian or anyone in between who's supporting students, we love you here at Smart Social. We're grateful for you. And this is why we host our live weekly events to keep kids safe online in every topic and every question in 12 different languages. Parents, I want to leave you this one last thing. No matter what you're doing online, remember to keep it light, bright, and polite because your kids are watching how you're behaving online. We'll see all of you on the next episode. I'm your host, Josh Ochs. Have a great rest of the day. Take care. Thanks for listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. Smart Social helps parents understand technology and social media to keep their kids safe and successful. Be sure to join one of our weekly online live events to become the smartest parent on the block so you can keep your kids safe and protect their future. Also, don't miss our 450 plus online resources and replays you can watch on demand in multiple languages. Are you a school district wanting to unlock these resources for your parents? Reach out to us so we can protect your whole community each week. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you on the next episode.